In this lesson here, we're going to learn how to solve slightly more complex linear equations. So we're going to be looking at equations with brackets and some with x's on both sides. So let's take a look at my first one here. So if I have 2, 3 minus 2x, and we're going to say that's equal to negative 14. Now there's kind of two ways we could do this. We could either get rid of the brackets first by multiplying this 2 into everything, or what we could do is we could divide both sides by 2. So it depends on how we do it. So I can multiply this 2 in first and then look at my x, or I could just start with x right now. So this one right here, I look at this here, both sides could be divided by 2 easily, so I'm going to start with x as it is. So if you remember, we did this thing here with the shoe method to help us out. So I have x. First thing we're doing to x is we're multiplying it by negative 2. Okay, so multiplied by negative 2, that's going to give me negative 2x. And there we go, we have negative 2x. Now, the next step is we're going to plus 3. Because right here, technically, this 3 is a positive. So we end up with 3 minus negative 2x. 3 minus 2x. Okay? Now the last step is we want to multiply all of this by 2. So I'm going to get 2 multiplied by 3 minus 2x. Okay, that's right there. Now this is all equal to negative 14. So same thing like before, we have to do the opposite. So here the opposite would be dividing both sides by 2. So if I do that, I must divide both sides here by 2. So if I divide both sides by 2, I'm going to get 3 minus 2x is equal to negative 7. So we get negative 7 over here. Now my next step is I want to subtract 3 from both sides. So I'm going to take away 3, take away 3. So I get negative 2x is equal to, well, this is going to be ending up getting me 10. So we're taking away 3 from negative 7, that's going to be 10. Negative. Now, the next thing I have, so we have negative 10. I must divide by negative 2. So I divide this by negative 2, divide by negative 2, and I'm going to end up getting x is equal to 5. Because a negative divided by a positive, or negative divided by negative is a negative. Okay? So there is my first example. Let's take a look at my second example. This one here is going to be a little bit more tricky. I'm going to put in fractions. So we're going to have 3 over 4, 6 minus 2 over 3 x is equal to 9. Alright, now let's look at this here. I could do this two ways. Once again, I could first get rid of this part here, or I could multiply this into my brackets. It's up to you which way we want to go with. I'm going to once again start going with this one. I'm going to start with x there and see what's happening to x. So I'm going to look at x. Okay? So we're starting with x. First thing I'm doing is I'm multiplying by negative 2 over 3. So I'm going to end up getting negative 2 over 3x. Next thing I'm doing is I'm adding 6. So I'm going to get 6 minus 2 over 3x. Okay? Now the last thing I'm doing is I'm multiplying by 3 over 4. So I'm going to get 3 over 4. Oops, put my brackets there. And I'm going to have 6 minus 2 over 3x. Okay, so there we go. So I look at this, what is my first thing I must do? The first thing I must do is we say this is equal to 9. This equation is done, it's right there. And we know that's equal to 9. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to divide by 3 over 4. So I want 9 divided by 3 over 4. So we're going to go 9, divide both sides by 3 over 4, divide this side by 3 over 4. So we want 9 divided by 3 over 4. So this is going to give me 6 minus 2 over 3x is equal to 9 divided by 3 over 4. So if we're dividing by 3 over 4, that's the same thing as multiplying by 4 over 3. Weavy samey, changey wangey, uppy downy. Now it doesn't matter if we remember there's an imaginary over 1, so we're just going to multiply these out. So first I'm going to divide, so that's going to give me 3. 3 times 4 is 12. So now I'm getting 6 minus 2 over 3x is equal to 12. So right here in this step we have 12 is equal to 6 minus 2 over 3x. Next step is we're going to subtract 6 from both sides. So I'm going to take away 6, take away 6. So I get negative 2 over 3x is equal to 6. Then my last step here, put that in here. We have the same thing, same thing. My last step is I am going to divide by negative 2 over 3. So we're going to divide by negative 2 over 3 here. So divide both sides by negative 2 over 3, divide by negative 2 over 3. So I get x is equal to 6 divided by 2, negative 2 over 3. So x is equal to 6 times negative 3 over 2. All I did was leavey-samey, changey-wangey, uppy-downy. This is going to end up giving me 6 divided by 2 is 3 times negative 3 is negative 9 is my value for x. And that is how we solve that one. Let's look at my next one here. I'm going to have this one variables on both sides of my equation. So I'm going to start off here. We're going to have 2x minus 7 over 2 is equal to 1 and 2/3 x plus 5. Okay? So the first thing I look at here is I have a mixed fraction and we're multiplying it into x. So as soon as we see a multiplication with a mixed fraction, we want to change that to improper. So I'm going to leave this where we still have 2x minus 7 over 2 is equal to, so we have a whole 3 and then 2, so that's going to be 5 over 3x plus 5. Now my next step here is what I want to do is get all my x's on one side. And I'm going to put them on the side where x's is the biggest. So 2 is bigger than 5 over 3 because 2 is technically 6 over 3. That's going to be bigger than 5 over 3. So I'm going to move this to that side. So I'm going to subtract both sides by 5 over 3x. Subtract this by 5 over 3x. So I'm going to be left with now is 2x minus 5 over 3x minus 7 over 2 is equal to 5. Okay? So let's continue this here. We're going to combine these, and now in order to add or subtract these, I'm going to need common denominators. So 2 is actually the exact same thing as saying 6 over 3, because 6 divided by 3 is 2. So we have 6 over 3x minus 5 over 3x minus 7 over 2 is equal to 5. So let's combine these together now. 6 minus 5, because we have the same denominators, so we can subtract these now. That's going to give me x over 3. Or I could say 1 or 1/3 of the x's. So that's the same thing, minus 7 over 2. Now once we have this, we could also continue and we could use our shoe method to figure out the order. But you guys should be fairly confident with this order right now. So my next step is going to be, we are going to add 7 over 2 to both sides. to get rid of the 7, 2. The opposite operation, okay, in reverse order. So we're going to have x over 3 is equal to 5 plus 7 over 2. Now, what we need to do here is, to add these, we need common denominators. So we have x is equal to, and this has to be 10 over 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5, plus 7 over 2, which will in total give me 17 over 2 is equal to x over 3. Now my last step here, what I want to do is, I'm going to multiply both sides by 3 to get rid of this 3, because we're doing the opposite order. Here it says divide by 3, so the opposite is multiply by 3. So I get x is equal to, I'll look at this here, we have 17 times 3, that's 21, which is going to be 51, all over 2. Alright, now my final thing is we have to put this into a mixed fraction. So this is going to be 25 and 1/2 is my answer for x. So it seems like a lot of work, but if we go through it step by step, it's not that bad. Our last example is not necessarily going to be a linear equation. So let's take a look at my next example. This one's going to be 1 over x plus 2 over 3 is equal to, we're going to say 3 over x. Alright? So let's try and solve this question here. First thing I want to do is we're going to put all my x's on one side. Right? We need all my x's on one side. So let's move all of these x's over here. So I'm going to minus 1 over x minus 1 over x. So I'm going to end up getting 2 over 3 is equal to 3 over x minus 1 over x. My next step is we can combine these x's here because they have a common denominator. The denominator here is x. So we know x has to be equal to x. So I'm going to get 3 minus 1 is 2 over x is equal to 2 over 3. Well, there's two ways of doing this here. I want x on top, so I'm going to multiply both sides by x, but also we look at this here, we know if the top's 2, then the bottom, these have to be equal. We know x must be equal to 3, but I'm going to show you the long way for this. If I multiply this side by x, must multiply this side by x, then I'm going to get 2 over 3x is equal to 2. Now my next thing I want to do is I'm going to divide both sides by 2 over 3. So I'm going to get x is equal to, we have 2 divided by 2 over 3, which is the same thing as 2 times 3 over 2. These cancel off because 2 divided by 2 is 1 times 3 is 3. So we know x is equal to 3. Like I said, we could have just looked at this here, this equation there, and we said, well, we have 2/3 can only equal to 2/3, right? So then we have 2 on top, x must be equal to 3 if we looked at it that way as well. Now the reason why this isn't a linear equation is because our x's are on the bottom. So anytime we have x on the bottom, it is technically not a linear equation. Hopefully this helped you guys out, and I'll see you in class.